welcome back to Epicenter Garage. I am Brian. This is my 930 turbo engine. This is my 930 turbo tub. And we are in the process of getting this engine complete, which we are oh so close to getting done. So we're gonna jump on this today, get this thing hopefully lined up and ready to drop the car or the tub onto the engine. But first, I have a few new parts I wanna show you over there, and then we're gonna get right back on this because we have about, probably about 4 things we're gonna complete today. One is we need to finish the airbox up. Next, we've got an oil line we need to bolt on. Then we actually have a turbo bracket that is right over here that is pretty rusty. We need to clean up. And then finally, we've got the CV shafts. Well, no, oh my gosh, I forgot how heavy those things are. Right here, we've got 2 of these things. We're going to be bolting up into the tub, and then we are just about there. But like I said, sorry, I'm getting lost here. Let's go over and take a look at some of the new parts. Okay, now for new parts. I know I get way too excited about new parts, but that's just the way that I am. So you guys may have remembered in the past episode, I showed you guys the C36 AMG that I bought from Danielson that used to be Tyler Hoover's, or from Hoovy's Garage. His car, I am slowly but surely, I'm disassembling the interior of that car. I'm changing around, I'm trying to make it like new and maybe making it a little bit different, more to my taste. So as you guys know, in those cars are Mercedes cars, a lot of the parts inside are wood or laminated wood. So I am taking those parts because in that car, a lot of them were cracked and just not in good shape. But I'm taking all of those parts out and I am refinishing those parts. Now I know this one looks absolutely hideous, but it's coming together. So I had to glue it and do a little bit of work on this part, and then this will get sanded down. And so, like I said, I forgot how many darn wood parts, stinking parts there are in a C36 Mercedes or Mercedes in general. So that is something I'm working on, but for new parts anyway. So you guys, well, I don't even think I've showed you guys yet, but I have a 427 Cobra, Kirkham Cobra 427 Cobra with the 427 side oiler in it, and it's got a 750 Holly carb, and it's just, it's kind of run a little bit poopy. And so definitely I know without a doubt the carburetor needs to be rebuilt. So I got a carburetor kit in. I know not super exciting, but I don't know. I love carburetor kits. So I'm going to be rebuilding that carburetor here very soon. Next, I got a bunch of course, Porsche parts in. I've got, of course, 6 spark plugs. I've got a rotor. I've got a rotor, rotor cap and a rotor oil filter, which I don't know why I bought another one of these because I literally have 50 of them for all the various Porsches. And, of course, spark plug wires. And I didn't even tell you what car this is for. This is for a 1989 Porsche, I should say, 911 Speedster that I bought not too long ago, but it has been sitting for quite some time, and it's just like the 427 Cobra, it's not running too well. As I say, it's running kind of poopy. So we are going to do everything we can to bring that thing back up to speed, maintenance-wise, and I'm thinking plug wires, a new rotor and cap and stuff like that should do it. Plus, I think the fuel in that thing's not that great, so we're going to be running some additives to the fuel as well as cleaning, obviously, to clean the injectors. So, and one more part, of course, more Porsche parts, 928 parts. I've got a 1986 and a half 928S that is really needing some maintenance. So more Porsche parts. I've got a wheel bearing on the front starting to go out, but anyway, for the most exciting part. So as many of you may have known, I have a 2018 Ford GT, and Multimatic made a poster of all 1,350 of them built, and here it is, and I finally got it, and this is really cool. This was super cool they did. So on this poster, there are all 1,350 cars on this poster. Now, not in any order to VIN or anything like that, but since mine was a PTS or paint to sample car, it was relatively easy for me to find, which is right here in the center. And so I'm going to be in this, well, I should say the poster is a really odd size. It's, I don't know, there's no way I'm going to find a frame for this thing. So I'm going to end up having to build my own frame for this poster, but that's all in the fun. But enough of new parts. Let's get back over to the 930 Turbo because we got to get that sucker done. So the first thing we're going to do is actually paint and refinish this turbo bracket. As you can see, it's pretty rusty, well, surface rust anyway, and I just couldn't get myself to put this thing back on the way it looked because we have such nice exhaust. We've got a brand new turbo on there, all new gaskets, and this just looked absolutely hideous. So we're gonna clean this up. I've got my wire brushes here. We're gonna get this thing cleaned up and treat it, and then we're gonna get it painted with some high temp paint I've got here and get this thing back over there so we can hurry up and bolt the turbo on. And voila, it is done, it is painted, but it's still pretty wet. So I'm gonna go ahead and take it out. Actually, I'm gonna hang it outside, let it dry. Then we're gonna go back over to the engine and start working on the air box, because the air box and the intercooler, it has a little bit of a fitment or well, they're touching one another, so we got to rectify that situation. So let me take this outside and let's go over to the engine. So what we're doing now is we are modifying, or I started the process of modifying the stock airbox. A lot of times people will, when they're doing engines like this, they'll actually go with the big conical air filter, big high performance air filter right here over the top of the intake. But for whatever reason, I mean, I really do like the stock airbox on the 930 turbo. So, and I really want to use this one simply because it pulls the cold air from back behind the motor here. So that's really what I want to do. But the problem is with this big intercooler, this lip right here where the air box is joined together and fold over this rolled edge was getting in the way. So when it would go on like this, and I know that's kind of noisy, it would literally make contact with the intercooler. And so I'm slowly folding this back, seeing how far I need to go back on this section right here and bending it over. And then we're gonna do a little touch-up paint because it does actually, this box is painted and it does take some of the paint off. So we're going to fix that and it should be done here in a jiff. So I went ahead and bent this edge right here. You can see here the paint's still out, but we're gonna clean that up. So right here, this is the edge we're trying to make it fit because it was making contact before. And let's get this thing down on there. There we go. And right there, you can see now it no longer touches and it's got about 6 mil of spacing. Now that the air box is done, it is time to attach the oil line. What we have here is the oil pump in the back. We've got an oil line running along the side of the motor. And we have our fitting here and our adapter, which I went ahead and put on, that is supplied by FabSpeed. And of course, our AN fitting here with a little small little braided line that is also supplied by FabSpeed. As you can see here, we've got the oil can right below the K27 turbo, and this feeds on or attaches just like so. And you know, I can already tell I'm not a big fan of the way FabSpeed did this. So I know FabSpeed has built a bunch of these things and they designed this system, but what I would have done here, as you can see here, I'm trying to make this bend and it kind of comes around right here to this fitting here, this adapter, but I would have come directly below the wastegate pipe right here, come right here into a 90 or even maybe a 135 AN fitting. I think it would have fit much better, but once again, we'll know the full deal once we get it bolted up into the car. But right now it comes around, you've got two 90s on here and we're gonna flex this around. Once again, I'm not super happy the way that fits because it just comes so close to the wastegate pipe right here, but it is what it is. Let's get that twisted on. And we're not gonna tighten everything up quite yet, but you can see right there, this is done. And now what we've got to do is, we'll go through and tighten everything up, but what I want to do is next I want to go out and grab the steel bracket that we just got done painting. I think it's probably dry. And oh man, you know, I just realized we're gonna have to unbolt this freaking turbo again, which is a royal pain in the butt to bolt on. At least 2 out of the 4 bolts really stunk to be able to get tightened up because that bracket, I have a feeling that bracket, we're gonna have to slide that turbo back to be able to get that bracket on. I saved you guys the pain and anguish of watching me unbolt this turbo yet again, but it is done. The reason why we had to do that was to get past these 2 studs. And I realized that when we were working on the oil line and depression literally just set in. But it is done. And because 2 of these 4 bolts are a royal pain in the rear to get undone. But we did it. It is done. The bracket is on. And so I had to unbolt everything, slide the turbo back, put the bracket on, get it over with all these studs, slide it back. And I went ahead and left these 3 bolts here undone so we can well, test fit the Zork tube. Yes, we are going without a muffler on this car. I had this Zork system, which is basically a straight pipe on an old 930 turbo, and you talk about sound bad. Oh my gosh, you can hear the turbo spool up and it shot fire. So I think this sucker is gonna shoot a little bit of fire, which will be awesome. So we are gonna get everything tightened up. get this thing test fitted on here and get the engine lined up. But first, the next thing we've got to do, like I said, is we've got to get these CV shafts bolted into the tub. Then we'll swing this engine around and we're getting closer. When installing the CV shafts, what I like to do first is go ahead and pre-hang some wire just like this. Therefore, it will hold the shaft when I am trying to put the bolts in, especially if you're alone and trying to do this by yourself. It makes it so much easier. So we're going to put a couple twists in the wire here and kick it out to the outside. Just like so. So you can see, therefore, it's holding it up. We're not putting any kind of undue stress on the shaft. And then we're going to line it up and start to, oh, that went right in. We got lucky. Right in the first try. So we're going to go ahead and tighten these up. But one of the things you do want to do too is as you tighten these up, you want to hit them with a paint marker, a little yellow paint marker. And then as you start to rotate it around, tighten up, hit it, tighten up, hit it. And therefore you can make sure that you get all these tight, because you definitely don't want any of these bolts coming loose on you. I've had that happen before in a race car, and it is bad, bad news. So we're going to get these things buttoned up, and we'll get the engine lined up, and we should be good to go. Well, that wraps it up for today. The CV shafts are in, the motor is lined up, and it's close. I can start to see the light at the end of the tunnel. So once again, you guys, thank you so much for watching. If you like this type of stuff, please like and subscribe, because it's fantastic motivation for me that I know at least a few of you out there are watching and might enjoy these types of videos. So thanks again, and we'll see you next time.